Thank you. Okay, so my name is Sarah Jordan. I am the Nature Tourism Officer with North Devon Biosphere, and I work closely with Torridge District Council and also North Devon District Council. We've arranged quite a few events over the last year or so, with a lot of them with Chris from Unmissable England. So we've worked closely with him before in the past as well. My role is really about working with tourism businesses across the area of our biosphere, so including Torridge, North Devon districts, and also bits of Mid Devon as well, trying to help businesses and support them in ensuring that they have the skills to be able to showcase the natural highlights and adventure activities that we have in our area. Also trying to pull the tourism away from the hotspots a bit more and more into more inland, just to help spread the economy a bit more. And I like to call it spread the love around within tourism across our area. So for this particular training session, it's really important, I think, that accommodation providers and other tourism businesses are aware of the benefits and how to market themselves to certain types of visitors. For this particular one, cyclists, people walking, and also a bit of horse riding on there as well. So we've asked Chris to come along and do this webinar workshop for us, to help you encourage the right type of people to come to your business from a sustainable business point of view, sustainable tourism point of view. So I think with that, we've got quite a few people on the call now, which is great to see. I'm going to hand you over to Chris from Unmissable England. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for the welcome. Hello and good morning, everybody. Good to be here, and good to see you all as well. It's lovely, always lovely to see people on their cameras. So when I'm presenting these workshops and talking, I'm not just feeling like I'm talking to myself. So if you can keep your camera on, that's lovely. As Sarah said, this is a workshop rather than a webinar. So we're encouraging lots of conversations and questions at various points throughout the day. And if you do have a question, there's no silly questions here, of course. You can pop those questions into the chat window on the top of the screen, or wherever you have your toolbar on your screen. So if there is a question you don't want to hold on to the end of that section or the end of the workshop, then feel free to pop that question into the chat window on the toolbar. Also, a little bit more housekeeping before we really get going. It's also great to know who you are and where you're from. And the best way to do that is to update your profile information, which you'll find on your camera. So on the display feature, where you obviously your face, or if you haven't got your camera on, it'd be a blank screen. You can right click on that, and then you can update your profile and your name. It's called rename. So if you put your full name in there and also the name of your business, that really helps us to identify who you are. But I'm sure Sarah knows everyone on the call, but that just helps me to know who I'm talking to. So thank you very much again, and good morning. Welcome to this workshop. So my name is Chris Brandt. I'm from Unmissable England. I'm the director and founder of Unmissable England. We are a business that focuses on mostly sustainable tourism and experiences, but very much including those experiences are really authentic. So often they are walking and cycling experiences. So we work with a host of small and medium-sized businesses right across regional England, spreading that love, as Sarah would say, across rural destinations and a little bit less well-known destinations as well, having that spread of the visitor across all parts of the country, wherever they might be from in the world. So we've got Sunita there, another lady, and then Ed on the screen there. They are our experience makers in mostly in the southeast of England. They range from cooking in the forest to forest bathing and being an organic farmer. That's some of the types of experiences that we have on our website that we work with. And I always encourage you to obviously go onto our website, unmissableengland.com. If you're looking for a bit of inspiration of different things that are happening elsewhere across the country, it's a good place to see what others are doing, different types of experiences, And just a little plug, we're always looking for dark sky stargazing experiences. We are always being asked by a lot of American visitors actually looking for a dark skies experience for a couple of hours. And obviously, Exmoor, North Devon's a good place to do some of those kind of activities. So if you are that type of business or you're thinking of offering a stargazing experience, then please get in touch. So this is the workshop agenda this morning. So we're here until midday. So we're going to be looking at the real benefits of walking and cycling, and also question horse tourism as well, and looking at the local offer, what North Devon and the biosphere has to offer to those groups of people coming and looking and wanting to book and stay in the region. And then really the main part is really getting underneath and actually understanding those segments of walkers and the cyclists and the horse riders and looking at what their needs are. We'll then spend some time on actually how you can actually welcome them and market to those groups of people and what you need to provide to them in order for them to come and stay again. We'll also hear from some inspirational case studies from across the country. And also, I'm really pleased we've got a guest speaker joining me later on. Becky from Exmoor Pony Glamping is going to be joining us, and she's going to be telling us about what she's doing with her business to encourage more walkers, cyclists, and people interested in the great outdoors to her business. I'm going to go through more marketing and publicity ideas with your social media and your website to actually encourage more walkers and cyclists. And then I've got a checklist at the end for you to take away and actually do some of these things, these practical solutions, so they actually have an impact to your business. And of course, we'll end with a Q&A session. I should have also said at the very start, please also introduce yourselves in the chat window as well. Just say who you're from, who you are and where you're from. And if you're already doing walking, you're already doing some targeted marketing to encourage walkers and cyclists. If you're already having something, you're offering something particularly on the welcome side of things for that group of people, please share. Tell us what you're doing. It's always good to hear what you're doing so far. But the aim of the workshop today, the outcome is really that you find something a little bit new that maybe you hadn't thought about before, and you'll make some of those practical solutions actually to your business. So let's get started. What are the real benefits to walking and cycling tourism? Well, I'm sure we kind of got some of those ideas already in our head, but 4 billion visits are made to the natural environment back in 2018. That's the latest data that we've got from Visit England, Visit Britain. And that's obviously really increased since the pandemic. And more people are, falling in love and, loving the great outdoors. We've also seen, 12 billion pounds worth of that spending in the leisure and outdoors sector. And what we see at Unmissable England all the time is more and more international guests, especially the North Americans, actually not spending so much time in the big cities, especially London, and they're wanting to explore more of the great outdoors and actually come to places like North Devon. So that 37% of visits by international visitors we're seeing actually go up in the last recent years, especially since the lockdowns of COVID, etc. And we've all got used to kind of, exploring and going off the beaten track more so after COVID-19. It's become more ingrained in what we do as well. And the other benefit, obviously, there's many, is to extend that traditional tourism season, which you can do, actually having marketing campaigns and thinking about these audiences in a slightly different way. Obviously, the environment, it has good impacts on pollution and traffic and all those things that we'd expect it to do. So, it's good for the planet, it's good for the local and national and global environment. And it also can actually, enhance that cycling and walking provision in the area. So if we've got more visitors accessing the countryside and walking routes and stuff like that, hopefully, that becomes more of a thing for the region. Therefore, we get more of the infrastructure that comes back in. So kind of need to kind of feed it more and have more products for visitors from all over the world to come and do these exciting walking and cycling provision in the area. The North Devon Biosphere has many exciting different things to come and visit and do. And on the list on the screen there, you'll see just some of the named things that, I've just pulled out of what you can do if you just do a bit of a Google search and what you expect to find. So you've actually got all these kind of links to why people should come, not just the Devon West Country factor. Obviously, you've got the North Devon's biosphere, but you've got the Southwest Coast Path National Trail, which is also now becoming the King Charles III England's Coast path. But then also you've got lots of different named trails and long distant paths as well. More and more we're seeing, walkers of all different types and cyclists accessing those as well. And then you've got the national cycle routes, 3, 27, 51, just to name some there. These are what some of the kind of more hardcore cyclists are kind of accessing as well. So you've got that on your doorstep, along with the nature reserves and also the A&B and the 2 national parks, especially Exmoor as well. So you've got all that natural environment on your doorstep, but also the access as well. Some of those named trails, some of those footpaths, some are, it can be used for cycling as well. So we'll come on how you can make a use of those later on. Let's focus a bit more on walking tourism and actually drill down a bit further, because many businesses just think often, and I can completely understand this, walkers, okay, we want to get more walkers, or we want to get more cyclists come into the area. So actually, there's a bit more work you need to do in order to actually think about that group, because it is a group of different individuals coming into the area. Oops. So a good way to think about is actually thinking about them as segments. So within that walking category, we have 6 different types of leisure walkers. So these are the people that are coming to North Devon and looking to have a walk of some type. So we've got the enthusiast, the adventurer, the explorer, the day tripper, the groups, and also, really importantly, the dog walkers. And I'm going to go through with you one by one each of these different leisure walking segments, so we can drill down to actually understand them better and see what their needs are and how we can help accommodate those needs. So let's start with the enthusiast. So this is your kind of classic kind of long distance linear walker, big backpack on their back. They want to complete a long distance challenge. So they make up 10% of the average walker of leisure walkers. They're looking on average to stay 1 night, and it's a bit more hardcore than your average walker. They're looking for refreshment stops en route, but they've got limited time, so they're not going to spend too long at your business or even in a destination as well. They're looking for those well-known places, those walking routes. Often we find them in places like, in Scotland, in the Highlands, in Lake District, but we do also find them in the West Country as well. So this is one group of walker that you can focus on, and you might say, actually, this is a particular group that we might want to work with. And then we've got the adventurer, still up for a really kind of long distance walk, but this is the type of person that might be doing more other activities when they're staying as well. So they might be looking to do a bit of climbing, a bit of paddle boarding, windsurfing while they're staying as well. So they're looking for a mix of activity. It might be that they're walking, their walk is the primary activity. However, they are going to be looking for other things to do. So if you're a paddleboarding company or you run an activity centre, this is the type of customer that you're probably getting already, and this is the type of target market you want to focus on as well. And they often combine their trip or their holiday with other walking activities, but also some cycling as well. They tend to be younger, pre-nesters, so if they're going to have children, it's often they tend to do this kind of trip before they have children as well. And obviously, no doubt, they love the outdoors and they love nature. Now, more typical, this is kind of what we expect, especially here in North Devon, of the walkers that are coming, the explorers, slightly older, kind of thinking kind of 45 plus upwards, but I wouldn't hang too much around that age. These are people that got more leisure time. They either haven't got children or their children have grown up. They're still looking for a challenge. They still want that challenge of competing, a walk or so many miles. But they're also looking for some comfort around that challenge as well. So they're looking for something special, popping into a tea room, meeting up with other friends or family, and their walk is very much a part of an experience rather than just a single activity. So they're coming to an area, they're doing their walk, they might be doing several walks over a couple of days, but they've got time to spend money visiting shops, going to the local museums, going to those different viewpoints, etc. And obviously, they're going to come for food stops and spend more time in pubs and restaurants and cafes as well because they've got more time that they're not spending on foot, where they're actually going to be spending money, hopefully, with you and your business. So much more of a category that we would expect, especially in our area. And then we've got the day trippers, the people coming out from some of the bigger towns and some, places like Bristol and stuff, coming out and leaving early and having a full day in the countryside or on the coast. These are your casual walker. They can include multi-generations as well, so families getting together, groups of friends of different ages getting together. They often include some walking, but often mixed with a trip to a national trust property, that kind of thing, or walking on popular trails and footpaths that they've researched online. They're going to be looking for lots of parking when they come, and that's why they kind of focus on places like English heritage venues and national trust venues where parking and a visitor centre is all set up for them. They want everything easy. They've only got a day, and they want to be guided as well. Lots of signposts. Their time is limited, so therefore they want to use that time wisely. They obviously want to spend some money. They want to stop for food and drink and have lunch. Often they might be bringing their own lunch as well, so they might only be having a drink in the pub, what have you. So there's ways that we kind of need to think about how we can actually encourage them to actually come and stay longer and spend money to actually eat and drink in those venues. Often this group of people are bringing their dogs in their cars, so they are kind of linked back to that kind of dog walker as well we're thinking of. The group market is, we could be talking about the Ramblers and other kind of voluntary walking groups and walking guides, but we can also be talking just about groups of, large families and friends, but also tour operator groups as well. So where we've got a tour operator, a tour guide actually arranging walks, you might be one of those businesses, especially if you offer experiences and tours. So actually, this is a big area. It's kind of very organized. So these people are planning ahead. So it's a good way to actually, have these conversations with the tour guides and the tour operators to actually feed into their itinerary. So food and drink, bike hire, and those different things that might link with their stay, not just that walk. They are obviously doing kind of all the footpaths, but they're focusing on lots of national trails, long distance, especially if they're international guests, because they're the things that they are familiar with. That's what travel agents will be marketing in itineraries to those international guests. Parking obviously is really important, especially if they're arriving by minibus or a small coach. So obviously parking, dropping off visitors, all that needs to be organised as well. And obviously, again, their time will be limited because they'll be doing a number of different things, either that's different walks or different activities, but they're going to be looking for those circular walks as well that they can do from A to B and come back to that venue. Then finally, our dog walkers. So an important group, I'm sure you agree. So they're looking for mixed lengths of walks, often without obviously step styles and access points, easy access where they can actually get the dog in and out through a gate, and it's easy for them to do. They want nearby parking with access to that relevant footpath, so they're not having to walk on the road and go off. So they're looking to actually have a car park where the footpath starts and ends from. And they're obviously really importantly looking for dog-friendly venues for food and visiting and staying when they're in destination. Often they're looking to meet up with other friends, often they have dog walkers or family, and they're happy to go off the beaten track because they're going to be wearing their boots. And I don't mean the dogs are going to be wearing the boots. The owners are going to be wearing their boots. So they're actually going off those traditional kind of walking paths and routes and stuff. This group of people, not necessarily always local, they're going to be actually exploring a bit more off the beaten track. And they're going to be looking for venues, obviously, where they can relax with their dogs after a walk. And again, circular walks are really important to this group of walkers. That gives you kind of a whistle-stop tour of the different segments across the walking world. We're going to now look at the segments for cycling. Again, because not every cyclist is the same. And if you're already doing this, you'll know that because you'll get a mix of different types of people to your business. And here are some of those groups, some of those segments. So we've got the classic kind of road touring cyclists who are going to be doing miles and miles on road in their Lycra. And that's very much what they're here to do. And that's one group. We've got the enthusiasts. Again, similar to what we saw with the walkers, looking to do activities as a part of their visits, but looking to explore, often using mountain bikes. And then we've got the casual user, which is more your group of friends and families actually accessing maybe sometimes cycling for the first time. So quite a different type of audience. And again, the day tripper, the people that have come in with their own bikes and looking to cycle and have an experience while they're there. So let's break that down in a little bit more detail, going through the cycling segments. So our tourers, these are our road cyclists, as I said. They're often on a long linear or sometimes circular journey. Time is going to be limited because often they're competing, they're racing, they're trying to compete in a certain time. And they're only staying often in, for one night in a destination because they're on to the next part of their tour, they're on to the next bit of their journey, or they're off home. So importantly, they're looking for locked storage for their bikes. So when they're doing their accommodation search, when booking, storage is really important to this group. Somewhere they can lock their bike nice and safely, or even bring it into their room. It's somewhere they can do that. They're generally traveling by bike to destination, or sometimes by car, and also putting their bikes on the train, depends on the locality. But they're carrying everything with them. They're bringing everything they've got on their bike. So that's something to also bear in mind. And really importantly, I saw this. I used to run a cafe in the Cotswolds on a popular cycling route, and often we would get these groups just turn up, on a Sunday morning or something, and we would have a coach load of people coming at the same time, and they would just turn up to be refueled with tea and cake, simple things like that. Didn't know they were coming. It was a part of their tour. So kind of being prepared, always prepared, or starting to learn when you get those groups is important when you're focusing on this segment. And often they are traveling and visiting in groups and tours. So, my tip there is actually to reach out to some of those groups and those tours and get, speak to the group leader who's planning that to actually find out when they're coming so you can be ready and accommodate for those groups of people coming. Your enthusiast is more your mountain biker or can be your road cyclist as well. They're traveling by destination by bike in their car. So they tend to be coming into the area. They've got their bike, often a mountain bike, and all their gear and stuff like that. So they've got a car. So actually they can be doing more than one thing. So it's not just everything on bike. They could be mixing a bit of paddle boarding, having a walk as well and doing those kind of things. They're looking often for short break holidays where they can do those activities. So 1 to 3 nights looking for accommodation, again, with that locked storage. But it's not so important, obviously, because if they're coming by car, they can actually put their cars back on their racks or in the car, what have you, or their vans. So it's kind of important, but not as important as the road cyclists that are coming often only by bike. Again, they love the outdoors and nature, so they're looking for doing activities and things that complement their stay. And then moving on to a group that we're probably a bit more familiar with, and that's the casual cyclists. This is cycling as a part of their holiday or their trip. They can be on their own. They're a solo traveler. I often have spend a lot of time talking about solo travelers, independent travelers, also known. These are people traveling on their own. We often in the tourism sector forget about this big group of people. We often say, oh, no, you have to be more than two people doing this activity or this experience or this tour. But there's a lot of people that are happy to travel on their own. They like doing that. But they are such a big group of people that actually want to book something. But often their trips get cancelled or their tours get cancelled because there isn't enough people filling up. So actually spend some time thinking about what you offer to solo travelers, because it is a good market, a good segment to focus on. Along with the couples and families in this segment, they're looking to hire or borrow a bike and cycling equipment. So they're not prepared necessarily. They got the idea of that's what they want to do, but they're looking for that gear. They're looking for that equipment that they can hire, borrow, and use as well. They're not they're not a regular cyclist. So journey times are going to be quite low. They're going to want to have it mapped out for them A to B. You need to kind of support them if you're welcoming this type of visitor, this type of cyclist. So they're looking to be guided. They're looking for guided e-bike tours, cycling tours. That might be have recommendations as well for tours. They're looking obviously for short cycling routes, but this is the main customer group for e-bikes. So they might have their own e-bikes. They might have invested some money in actually bringing them into destinations. So it might be that's the way into into cycling for them. And of course, they're going to be looking for places to stop, eat and drink and visit on their routes. And then the day trippers, which can be quite mixed. So it could be similar to our casual user, where they're visiting for the first time, and they were looking to do some kind of bike cycling activity, or they can be looking actually. They could be somebody who's a bit more experienced. They could be part of a cycling event or groups. They can be traveling in from more urban areas as well nearby. But importantly, they're still looking for that cake and coffee stops on their route, and they're looking for cycling friendly and cyclist friendly venues to stay and stop in a place as well. So this is kind of understanding how and why they're coming to visit is important. So but often they're quite a mixed, broad group of visitors coming in this category.
Chris, before you move on to equestrian, Grant has a question and would like to know if casual cyclists prefer traffic-free routes. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, definitely. It's the easy, it's not confident, they're not regular cyclists. So off-road really, it's really important. Having a cycle path is really important. So yes, thank you for highlighting that. I should have mentioned that. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
So let's move on then to equestrian tourism then, because this is an area that's important to North Devon. It's popular and it's growing. It's not just growing popular across North Devon and the West Country, but actually nationally. So things like riding holidays and horse trekking and those kind of activities, it makes up 20% of the riding activities in the UK. So it's a growing activity. And we're seeing it all across the country, where we're seeing actually more and more people actually offering this, and actually horse owners actually running activities to actually do that. So it's a growing in popularity. The British Horse Society have a leader pathway course that they provide. So this is kind of like the recognised standard. So if you are thinking to go along this route, you might be familiar with this already. You kind of want to tap into this. They do this course where actually it covers the tourism sector within horse riding. And if you're looking to kind of open up your stables and those kind of things and do offer riding holidays, now is the time to start thinking about it, because it's a growing demand in the market. Often this is specialist tour operators with extensive knowledge. So you can't be just somebody that's never worked with horses before, but you need to train and obviously learn through that as well. And there are a whole host of different tour operators here in the UK, but around the world, looking for these types of experiences, these types of holidays. We have got quite a few across Devon already, generally, They tend to be obviously a higher priced item because the amount of time and everything that's going into it. So if you are already doing this, or you're thinking about kind of offering riding holidays and riding experiences and trekking, then I really recommend that you work with the travel trade, the tour operators in this sector, rather than just going alone, because you'll get the support from them, you'll get the extensive knowledge within the industry and where to market as well. And something we're seeing a little bit more of is where you can bring your own horse to a B&B. So a bit like with the bike. I'm not sure you take it into your room though. So obviously having a stable, having stables there, and the relevant and right accommodation for the horses and for the riders as well. So again, if you've got this facility and you run a guest house or B&B, you might be actually thinking, actually, we could do this. We could actually open up and welcome people bringing their own horses to the area as well. So something to think about there. And just generally as well, riding experiences for beginners, for people that have never done it before, an excellent opportunity to introduce new visitors into the world of riding as well. So if you're thinking of doing that, or you're doing that, going down the kind of experience, a day experience or half day experience, actually learning to ride and taking in some of the some of the bridleways and access and open countryside would be very, again, something that visitors more and more are looking for, those kind of unique, authentic experiences. So that's our kind of little world into kind of horse question tourism. And please, if you've got any questions about any of the different segments and the different categories that we featured through walking and cycling and question, please do pop that into the chat window, and we'll come to those later on. So we've learned a little bit about our different segments across those 3 different categories. Now, what do we need to do in order to welcome them and get them to come and visit and get them to stay and visit with us? So again, we're going to go through the categories. So first of all, let's look at the walkers. This is where we're saying to those walkers, we exist. We want you to come and visit us. Hello, we are here. So these are the things that you could be doing. And again, we've got a broad range of different types of businesses, from accommodation providers, tour guide, activities, campsites, you name it. So these might not apply to all of you and everyone, but hopefully there'll be something across these slides that you can take away. So number one, the come and visit is very much the imagery you display on your website, across your socials and your publicities. So if you're aiming to get more walkers, you need to have pictures and imagery and video of those walkers at your business or in the local area. So you already got to put that information into your publicity to say, hello, we're here, we're friendly to walkers, we want you. You need to have a designated page on your website that is for walkers, and it says that, walkers. And then use language like, walkers are welcome for your publicity, and start using that phrasing. You want to name nearby footpaths and routes and public right of way and trails across your publicity as well. So we saw that big list of all the different assets across the North Devon's biosphere. Then name some of them. There's plenty more as well. So if another local path or access route, then talk about it, because as we've seen, the groups of walkers, that they're going to know about them. They're going to be Googling and searching for these different walks. If you've got a footpath that passes your venue, then make sure that's mentioned as well. Or even if it's just a 2 or 3 meters, 2 or 3 minutes walk from your venue, make it, because you're making it easier for those walkers to actually think, actually, I'm going to come and visit, or I'm going to come and stay, because it's only a 2-minute walk from our beginning of our circular route. So just small things you can do can make a big difference. If there's public transport nearby or right outside, again, talk about that. We know that public transport is obviously a bit of an issue in some of the more rural destinations, but if you've got it, talk about it and link to it. And you don't need to list out all the timetable information. What you can do is just link off to that bus company's website, so you don't have to keep all that information up to date. If you offer free parking and you're happy for walkers to use it, as long as they come and visit you, kind of make that clear within your social media, within your website as well. I know this is not for everybody, especially if you've got limited parking, but if you've got ample parking and you're near a footpath, again, you're making it easier for walkers. You're probably doing it already, but make sure it's clear that they need to come and spend some money with you. They need to come and eat and drink at your venue or what have you. If you provide food all day, again, make it clear because walkers are going to be out. They might not be there at lunchtime. They might be turning up after 3 o'clock and you might have closed the kitchen. But if you can offer food all day, then make sure it's clear and that publicity to say, hey, we've got, we're serving all day, great for walkers. And if you are doing that, then create those special offers as well, like the Ramblers Roast, or have a free cup of coffee when you come and you're doing a walk and you're collecting some of the litter and you're doing a litter pick for us in the local area. We'll give you a free cup of coffee or a slice of cake or what have you. So nice offers, incentives. Again, it just welcomes the visitor and say, yeah, you get me, you understand me, you're like me, and we understand each other. You're accommodating my needs, and we're speaking the same language. They're the kind of things that this is all about. If you're doing guided walks or experiences from the venue or nearby, or other businesses are locally and kind of regionally, again, put those on that website, put them in your social media, put them in your bedroom browser, and put them in leaflets in your business as well. That's the kind of thing you kind of, it sounds like these are things we might be doing already, but often it's like, oh yeah, there is that guide that's doing that walk. Yeah, I mention it to some visitors, but is everybody getting that same message? So think about how you can distribute that information. And then we'll move on to actually how we actually welcome and get visitors to actually enjoy that experience while they're there. Things that you can do. So, when they get into their room or into the hotel reception area or campsite, they're greeted with an OS map. They've got an OS map, Ordnance Survey map, where they can actually borrow, or they've got a leaflet or a photocopy of a walking route or something that's kind of helping them to get on with their journey. This is great for those kind of casual walkers, those people that are not used to walking. They can tell you can say, where to stop. This is a pub stop, if you want to have, pick up a coffee, and this is a great place to get a sandwich, what have you. So it's great to promote other businesses as well, especially if you're an accommodation business doing this. So OS maps and other maps, create your own walking route with your own brand on it and your logo and stuff, and let guests borrow it or even take it away. Also, create those routes, as I said there, the routes that guests can take it away and link with other nearby venues, and then have a designated area within your premises of your business for walkers and also cyclists. So that's that information. So the leaflets, the walking maps, borrowing an OS map, have an area that says, walkers, make it fun, have some boots, some wellies nearby and stuff, and actually designate a whole area. It doesn't have to be big, it could be just a shelf. But actually, you walk into your premises and again, it's a message. You get me, we understand each other, you're accommodating my needs. So actually, designating a space again is another way just to send that message. And if you can, have an area to store your wet clothes. Often it's wet, and your muddy boots. Again, if that's next to the door or it's undercover outside, somewhere you can actually say, again, this is where we're looking after you, we're thinking of you. This is where you can dry your coat. If you're coming into a cafe, restaurant, or pub, what have you, and actually, or accommodation, actually, because you don't want those wet, muddy things coming into your rooms. So actually, again, having an area designated for outdoor clothing and boots is great as well. And things like boot scrapers and access to outside water so they can clean their boots. Again, if you haven't got an outdoor tap, it's not going to necessarily work for you. But boot scrapers and things like that, they're easy, they're cheap to get as well. Just like what we heard about the cyclists earlier on about storing their bikes, things like storage of backpacks and rucksacks and all those kind of things. Again, if they're more the adventurer and more the enthusiast, they're going to come with lots of walking gear as well, and especially if they're in groups. So thinking ahead about those groups, about where you can store that and help them out as well. so they don't have to take everything with them. Places where they can fill up their water bottles and wash up their cups and flasks as well. If you haven't got, again, a tap accessible, then having, a nice blackboard sign or some signage to say, if you need more water fill ups, ask at the bar, at the reception, and you do it in your kitchen at tap. So, think about doing those things. It's free, it's nice to do, and they're going to get you good reviews as well because you care. First aid, obviously really important for any business, but again, it's just highlighting that, having that near that area that's designated for the walker and the cyclist, list of walk-in centres and hospitals as well. Why not deodorant spray, having that available, and suntan cream in the toilets, again, nicely displayed. Again, it shows you care. Obviously, snacks to buy and take away, and that's a no-brainer. Whatever your business is, even if you're an accommodation and you can sell flapjack and different things like that, that's kind of a nice thing, and to make a bit of money from as well. Obviously, when it comes to food and takeaway and things like that, this walkers, also cyclists are looking for that flexibility around your serving times. It isn't going to work for everybody. The chef will need to go home at some point. But are there things that you can offer to do? We'll come on to that later on, things that you can actually do to enhance that. And this group of people, they're going to be in touch, hopefully, with the environment and the outdoors. So recycling and things like that's going to be higher up on their agenda. So, providing recycling bins and encouraging visitors to reuse kind of goes hand in hand. We're talking about sustainable tourism, and it's kind of actually offering those things within the visit. Now let's move on to our cyclists, and again we're looking at all the cyclist segments together. This is the message we're sending: come and visit, come and spend some time and money with us. Again, like the walkers, you need that publicity on your websites and social that you are cycling friendly. You have a page again designated to cyclists. It could be walkers and cyclists. You don't need to create separate all the time. And really importantly, use language like come and cycle to us, ride to us. If you're on a route or on a road and you're getting cyclists going past, actually put some of that language in, because Google is going to pick that up for you, and people are going to search for that. If you've got nearby cycle routes and national routes, again, put them on your website and socials. There are name routes. I've listed 3 that actually go through parts of the North Devon biosphere. There are more. Have a look and do a search for the National Cycle Network. You'll see the different routes. These are for obviously the road cyclists, because often they're on roads. And if you are near them, list them. Put them on the website, because if you're an accommodation provider or a food business, this will help that group of people plan their trip and their visit and their tour. And again, we were saying earlier on, it's important to provide details about where visitors can securely leave their bikes and their cycling equipment. That's a real decision maker for many of this group of audience. So actually, can you store your bike inside? If not, are there outdoor racks? Is there a shed that's lockable and where they can store that equipment? Or can they bring the bike into the accommodation or into the pub? If you've got e-bike charging points, shout about it. I'm sure you are already, but again, it's kind of, if you've got those kind of charging points, it's good to kind of talk about that. And again, like the walkers, create special offers and incentives: a biker's breakfast, half price if you come by bike, those kind of things. Nice ways to just again enhance that offer and actually really market directly to that consumer. And link into other cycling tours and experiences from your venue and nearby. List them, talk about them. If you know of somebody that can offer it, provide that information, not just within the venue, but if you're, on your website, so guests again are making that decision to come to you because they're thinking, actually, you really get me. You like cyclists. You're one of you're like me, and actually while I'm there I can go and do this cycling e-bike tour, that's great, or something, or I can do this activity. So link it up. Don't wait for them to get into destination. Put it on your website, put it on your socials, put it on your publicity, because it's all about sending that right message. So you've got them, they're here, they've come in and they've booked or they've turned up. So what they're looking for, again, they're looking for some of the casual cyclists, they're looking for those off-road tours and experiences. So you want to provide some information. So why not do a takeaway route for them to go away and actually use the map? It could be laminate so they can return it, especially when it's wet. So other visitors can use it after. But again, it's saying that we're here and we understand you. And then have a designated area, as I said before, and then access to water outside for cleaning down bikes. That's really, really useful, especially as we go into this time of the year as well. So somewhere, if you've got an outdoor tap or a way or a hose or something, make that accessible and make it really clear when, outside of the premises that you have that facility. Somewhere safe to store rucksacks and fill up with their water bottles, just like with the walkers. Obviously, there's a bit more equipment involved with cyclists more than walkers, so there's going to be more kind of clothing in the winter and helmets and those kind of things as well. Often cyclists will want to keep that helmet with them, but if you've got a shelf or something they can put behind where they might be sat if they're eating or drinking, that's something to think about as well. And having equipment like puncture repair kits, pumps, charging points, those kind of things, again, that's going to be a decision maker around e-bike charging points, for example, but also shows that you care. First aid point and nearest hospital, just like with the walkers, and we looked at the deodorant, and then obviously having the snacks to buy and take away as well. So what about if you're doing all those things already and you want to do a bit more? Well, let's go the extra mile. What else can we do for our cyclists and our walkers? Or why not hire a foot spa for the night? So again, it's a bit of luxury. If you're accommodation business, you can quite easily offer this. You can pick up a cheap foot spa, but again, it's nice, probably more for the casual cyclist, and think about them and offering that. You can link up with the local person doing massage and treatments and things like that, and have their information displayed in your bedroom browser or on that designating cyclist and walker area. You can have information. They're looking for a sports massage, for example. You have the knowledge. You and your team, your staff will have the knowledge of those local routes, those local footpaths and things like that. So be ready to give options. So this is when you've got your customer, you've got your cyclists and walkers, make sure if you are really, all those local routes and you've got staff as well, make sure they're trained up as well to really know where those routes are, so they can also say, well, actually, Dave knows all about this because he's a cyclist. Make sure that you've passed on that information so that they can actually share that information with those guests. More cozy things, cozy slippers and soft, fluffy, washable mats, things like that in accommodation is nice as well. So after you've had a hot shower or a bath, you want those cozy things and you want to feel, a bit of luxury around you. Don't make everything kind of not so soft just because you're thinking everybody's like kind of hardcore cyclist. They still want some of those nice things to have within accommodation. On-site laundry facilities, again, not everybody can do that, but again, if you can, it's something nice to offer. You can sell, supplies like water bottles, hats, energy snacks, and things like that. That could be in your designated walking and cycling area. So you're actually thinking about how you can actually monetize some of this and actually make a bit of money if you're starting to get more traction with walkers and cyclists. You could have branded water bottles if you're a campsite or activity center or something like that. Flexible dining, as I said, it's not always going to work with everybody, but you could be offering early breakfasts to take away in a cardboard box with orange juice and an apple and a croissant or something like that, or some cake. So actually, they're not thinking I'm not going to book because you won't do an early breakfast. You're saying actually before booking, we do a takeaway breakfast that you'll get at 7 o'clock outside your room or what have you. We're accommodating for you. Again, the same for lunches as well. So you might say actually when we're going off to doing a long walk, or we're doing a long cycle, we haven't got time to stop for lunch, and offer in packed lunches as well. Could be good. Phone charging points, because these guys are going to be on the go all the time, whether they're walking and cycling. So, kind of having those places. Obviously, your accommodation, you often have them obviously in your room. But if you're in more of a cafe or a restaurant or bar, then you might be having that again, pointed that out in your walking and cycling area. And charging points, which I mentioned, car charging points as well for electric vehicles. Again, this is the type of people, if we look at those segments, these are the people that have often got hybrid or electric cars as well. So they're coming to destinations, coming to attractions and accommodation, and they're often looking for places that they can charge their cars. And if you've got that, you need to really shout about that on all your publicity and all your comms and website. Think about discounts as well for people arriving on foot and by bike. So, another incentive. So if you come and visit us and you walk into us, you get one coffee. When you buy one coffee, you get one free, or something like that, or you get an extra piece of cake. It's just a nice kind of incentive. Wellies and boots to borrow. We've seen that done for a long time. But again, if you can, that's great. If you've got power showers, that's really important to those really muddy walkers and muddy cyclists. So you need to kind of highlight that, or if you've got that already, make sure you are kind of selling that. Daily weather displayed on blackboard or a TV screen. I think that's such a nice thing to do anyway, generally. So you kind of, if it's on a blackboard, it's sunny, nice little chalk drawing and stuff like that. Again, you're just kind of tapping into the thought process of your visitor. You're thinking about, and this doesn't just apply to obviously walkers and cyclists, it's all of your visitors. So it's just a nice way to display that information. If you are working with those groups that are kind of a bit more kind of full on to walking and kind of more the enthusiast and the adventurer, then things like baggage transfer companies and those services are important as well, especially for international visitors. They're looking to actually have their baggage moved from one accommodation to the next. There are plenty of companies out there across the country that offer those services, and a lot of guests are booking using those services as well. So if you are trying to attract more the enthusiast and those groups, then the baggage transfer companies are good places to kind of network and talk about. Maybe you can offer your accommodation or your activity or refreshments within their itineraries. Collections from nearby train station and bus stops are also important if you are welcoming people that are walking to destination or to your business, or bringing their bike, and you've got a van or a car that you can collect them with their bikes. Again, that's a nice thing from the word go of how to welcome them. How to encourage longer stays. So thinking about how you actually get people to spend more time, so they're spending more money. So it's very much around that recommendation of actually saying, not just when they arrive, it's before. So once they've booked as well, you can send a message to them or an email and say, actually, this is all the links to all the different walks. This is my favorite. This is one that I really like. Oh, by the way, if you do this on day one and you do this day two, and I know you've only booked for 2 nights, but there's this other third one that's really good as well. You could extend the stay. So actually kind of thinking about that and offering your services and your local information to them, and also providing public transport options that visitors can actually plan their trip and easily reach you as well. So they know that they don't have to rely on a taxi, what have you. Linking into the public transport will help them often stay longer. Reach out to other businesses. So we always talk about collaboration and partnerships and working. So, talk to other tour guides and cycle guides and tour operators. Tell them what you do, tell them what you're going to do, what you're doing differently. We've done this, we've got this new cycling area, we've got maps, we've got water bottles, you can do these different things. You can wash your dog here now, you can wash your bike, all these different things. Make sure that the industry that you're trying to attract that's local to you know about what you do as well, to reach out to the business community, say what you're doing and what you're doing differently. And think about listing your business and what you do on UK domestic and international walking, cycling websites and other channels as well. So if you're doing all this great stuff, share that love and share that information on other websites and other platforms as well. And as I said earlier on, connect with those luggage transfer companies, because that will help you. Obviously, people can plan and stay in destination longer. So a few ideas there. We then look at those dog walkers because, as I said, it's an important segment of the walking group. So there's things that we're doing this as a nation. We're doing this quite well actually, and it's really enhanced after the last 10 years or so. But actually saying that you're dog friendly, is one way of doing it. But actually, what does that mean? What are you saying? So really, when you're talking about, yeah, we're dog friendly, it's not just a sign. It's about actually the things that make you dog friendly. So we'll come on to that in a moment. Use imagery, like we said before, of dogs and dog walkers on your website, socials, and publicity. Use the term dog friendly, and also list on your website the walking routes that are particularly dog friendly with no stiles, and the beaches, and when the beaches are open to dogs, those kind of information. So you're making it really easy to the dog walking segment. Let visitors know in advance, and this is what really kind of makes you dog friendly, that you can bring your dog into the bar, the restaurant, the rooms, the campsite. We've got a designated area on the campsite for dog owners, etc. So kind of that's what makes you dog friendly. How many dogs can guests bring if your accommodation? Is there any extra charges? Make that completely clear. And you're sending those messages again saying, hey, we are dog friendly, come and visit. So they're here. What do you need to provide? Obviously, we often see this now: water bowls, food bowls outside a venue. Great. But dog treats. Not necessarily, not all dog owners are going to want their dogs to have the treats and things like that. But again, just having that jar of dog treats on the bar or on the reception is another way of saying, we welcome you and we welcome your dog. We are dog friendly. So it's just another gesture of having these designated areas and things in your premises, to make your guests feel at ease as well. Have hard copies of circular walking routes, style free, so it's easy for dogs if you've got big dogs. Have an enclosed area designated for exercising dogs. Again, this isn't going to apply to everybody. Again, also, toileting areas and disposable items, and with the bins and stuff like that, going to be more for your campsites and those kind of venues as well. But if you've got some land, and you're a food or pub or business, then you might be wanting to enhance that offer. An area to wash your dog as well. It's a nice way to show you care as well. I've got an outside tap, and provide information, local vets, local pet shop supplies, and other dog friendly venues nearby. Again, it's all about showing that you care. This one's really easy to do. It's a quick fix. And if you're not doing some of these things, then obviously there's a few things there you can take away and enhance. So a little bit of inspiration now, a few case study examples, a little bit of whistle-stop tour across the UK of some of the businesses that are doing some of these things already. The Boot and Bike Hotels, they started off in Scarborough in Yorkshire a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. Their audience are walkers and cyclists. They know their audience. That is their audience. That's who they're aiming for. They've just opened a new hotel in the Peak District National Park. It's their second, and they've got plans to open others across the UK. So their key audience, as I say, cyclists, walkers, also dog owners. On the images there, I've picked just some. Really lovely accommodation, modern, bright, cheerful, and welcoming. You've got areas it's a dog grooming area, so you can wash your dog. It's got a room designated for looking after your dog and that grooming area. You've got a place to wash your bike. I mean, this is quite, good. This is very good. An indoor place where you can wash your bike. So, if you're a mountain biker there, this is a perfect place to stay. They're working in collaboration with Big Bear Bikes, a local bike company. They're in the hotel. You can hire a bike. So even if you don't have your own bike, maybe you you just don't have a bike, but you like cycling, then you can still, they still want you because you're like them. You've got this group of audience that they know each other. So you can hire a bike, you can, take that bike out as well. But the whole facility is very kind of, it's comfortable. It's got power showers in every room. You've got boot lockers, you've got washing and drying areas. You can charge your bike, your e-bike, and really importantly, you can secure your bike in storage lockers as well. There's sport massages available. And the thing I really like about this place, and they do it in both their hotels, they have a complimentary tea and cake every afternoon at 4 o'clock for all guests staying. How nice is that? We did mention when I was had a call with them the other week about, because they do that to everybody, actually invite the people coming in as well. And they said, no, this is just for our guests. And it's like, obviously not going to offer free cake and drink, but it's just a kind of another way of doing things. But it's a nice thing to talk about. That's their incentive. That's their special offer. That's something you get as well. Also, free hot drinks for guests staying as well. So nice. So do check it out, bikeandboot.com. Lots of inspiration, and check out their two venues. You'll go on their website and it's very targeted. It's shouting, it's very clear. And that's not going to be for every business because, many businesses will be trying to accommodate to lots of different types of segments, different audiences. And, you might not be able to do this for your business. Taking you to North Wales now. So this is Bert's Kitchen and Camping. I visited this back in June where the weather was over 30 degrees. A really nice campsite. So been running for about 2 years or so. Very, very environmentally friendly. That's the first thing. You park your car on the edge of the campsite in a gravel car park. You get given a trolley. There's no other cars on site apart from camper vans that are in the camping van area. You arrive, you get a 4-page newspaper on arrival and a welcome with a map, and it's got all the walking areas that you can walk from the campsite, where you can take your dog, where the access to the beach, etc. A really nice way just to say, look, here's our newspaper that they probably print annually. It's got a map, it's got all their facilities, and then it's got recommended walking routes. Another really nice way to show that you care. And then they've got a designated area for dogs and dog owners and camper vans and everything. And they've got a beautiful wild meadow when we were there. It's beautiful. So all of the shower gel, washing up liquid, all that kind of stuff is all provided. In fact, you're not allowed to bring your own because all that is going back into the wastewater, which is then used to water the flower meadows around the tents as well. So a really nice sustainable message there. You just feel like you're a part of something. And it's tapping into those walkers, those cyclists, those people that like these kind of things. There's an area to exercise dogs. On site is a pizza restaurant which offers it's a kitchen garden. That's why it's called Bert's Kitchen. So they grow lots of different things and veg and flowers and stuff, and it all kind of goes back onto their pizza which they make on site. And their kitchen was actually a minibus. They used and made some like a wood shack. You can see the pictures there, with the sofas made out of pallets. That's kind of an indoor-outdoor place, but that's their restaurant. Lots of places to go and kind of relax as well. Yoga classes, dog treats on show when you get welcomed as well at the reception. So Bert's hg.com. Is the website to get some inspiration on what others are doing across the country. And then a bizarre one, a bit of a curveball, Premier Inn. We've obviously got one in Bideford, but they are really tapping into cycling and walking and getting some nods there from Andrew, which is good. And a lot of cyclists are telling me, actually, you can take your bike into any of the Premier Inn hotels, and you can, like the chap there who's laying down next to his bike, he knows his bike is nice and secure. So my message here is not necessarily to promote Premier Inn. It is to say, look, these guys are doing this already. They have tapped into this audience. This audience knows they care. You can see the different things that they're doing. They do a bike wipe down service. They say that their reception can provide local facilities to help cyclists. Next time I stay in a Premier Inn, I'm going to test that. I really want to see some of that, because often you don't actually speak to anybody now. You just have to log in and check in yourself on one of these computer things. So that's interesting. But they are, they've got a page designated on their website to cycling. They link to different websites and things. They promote their healthy breakfast. So you get a picture of the muesli and the yogurt and the fruits and stuff like that. So again, they're thinking about their customer as well. And I got the picture there of the family, because again, this, families are there, out of work time, out of the week, weekends, you know, Premier Inn really lends itself to, a family of four coming to stay, or, joining rooms, those kind of things. So if you can bring your bike in and you can do that, they're going to be picking these kind of businesses to stay, rather than some other businesses that might not be doing this. So it's kind of just a curveball to say, actually, look, the big guys are doing this. And if you're not doing it already, then we need to be offering something, if you can, similar to what they do, and that's kind of somewhere secure to type, to provide their bike, sorry. So let's go a bit more local and a bit more independent. I'm really pleased we're joined by Becky today. So Becky is from Exmoor Pony Glamping, and she joins us on the call. I'm going to ask her to unmute her phone, and so we can join her. And I just thought, Sarah and I thought it was good to have Becky here today as a local business, already doing some of these things. She is a new business, but also you've got a range of businesses, Becky. Do you want to tell us about what you do and what your business does?
Okay, so I recently started Exmoor Pony Glamping, um, which is obviously glamping, and you bring your own pony to my glamping site, as I'm a passionate horse rider. So it all came about. A friend put a post up, Philippa Berry, put a post up on her Exmoor Bridal Ways ride. And I was riding with her with one of my worldwide opportunities in organic farm volunteers. And someone contacted me saying, could I come with my horse and volunteer for you? And then that got me thinking, oh, there might be a market for this. And it turns out, as you see, that it's a growing market. There's definitely a market for this. And so that's where the whole business plan started. I'm already in business with I make apple cider vinegar, and I'm an off-grid farm. And so that's my two businesses. And I'm also a Woof volunteer host. So I've been hosting now for about 4 years. And I did 6 weeks. This year I opened for 6 weeks. I was targeting the horsey market, but I opened very late and went mostly onto Airbnb. But yeah, so I've got some practice in and got some good feedback. And now this year coming, 2024, I'm really going to focus on that horsey market, bringing them to my little farm and my little glamping place.
So that sounds great. What's your ideas from that feedback already? Where are you going to put your marketing? Where are you going to put your money to market that?
Well, at the moment, I don't have a lot of money. So I know where I would put it when I do have it. But what I'm doing currently, which I think could help all of you guys, is I've chosen all trails. And I'm going out on my horse because I found out that the local rides where people wanted to just camp, they just wanted to relax. I thought they might want to like go out onto Exmoor, but you have to kind of box half an hour to get there. So it seemed that the ones that I had were just quite happy to ride out locally. So I'm logging onto All Trails. I chose All Trails because some other people use it. And I'm making a personal Exmoor Pony Glamping All Trails app. So when they come to me, they can log into my details and they can find out all my local rides. And I'll also join them if they want. So that's the thing. So you can have an app for your business, for your walking or your cycling, And so you go out and you create your own walks or your own rides from your business. So that's what I'm doing. And then when I've finished, at the moment, because I'm running two businesses at the moment, all my money's going into apple picking. But as soon as I finish that, there's horse air and rider Airbnb that I want to join. And there's another, I've been Googling the websites that promote horse riders. And that's the ones that I'm going to join, and also the BHS. And I didn't realize they actually had that segment for this. So as soon as I go back into marketing, which I will be soon, but at the moment I'm just constantly feeding social media. I'm constantly feeding social media with my rides. So I'm putting the trails on, and I had, through social media, it's how I've got all of my followers. And somebody did actually get in touch with me, and she's fully booked in another part of the country. Said, I really like what you're doing. And she's sort of my mentor now. So if I have any questions, I can just ask her. And she's actually managed to do hers mostly through social media. There's some great platforms for the horsey businesses. I'm like, so you put a post and then you share it onto there, and you get thousands of views. So so that's a great platform, social media, for the tourism, much more than for my cider vinegar, is where I'm focusing. I'm putting a lot of effort into it. You know, every ride I'm stopping, I'm taking photos. My daughter's like, oh, I'm like, look, it's a good, and then, you know, and I'm trying to map them and make my own personal app so that, when people come, I'll give them my login details, and then they will see all of the local rides that I just go out on.
Yeah, it's above and beyond. It's great. It's really nice to hear that, and how you're accommodating for that group of visitor. And it's also interesting about online travel agents. You were mentioning Airbnb experiences to come and stay, because they've tapped into, actually doing targeted experiences for those, as you say, the horsey people. Actually having that as a sector on there. You go onto the app and you see that it's quite prominent.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is a particular. This one's called Horse and Rider B&B, I think. So I don't think it's part of Airbnb.
No. I was just
So
I was just saying Airbnb are doing it as well. They're kind of tapping into that wider kind of market of outdoors people.
Yes, yeah, and I do. I also like when the horses come, I've got like little treats on their stable doors of like apples, like you said, those little treats, those little personal touches and things like that. Yeah. So, and I've also like collaborated with my friend Emily, who's North Devon Explorers. And say they want to come, if it's a family and two people don't horse ride, my friend Emily will come and pick them up. She only lives, and she runs, North Devon Explorers. So she will pick them up from my glamping tent and take them paddle boarding, exploring that way. And another good friend of mine will also come and do the massage. So after a long day's horse riding, as long as they book in advance, I've got two friends that will both come to the glamping area, either for a massage treatment or pick the people up and take them. So say, it's a mother and daughter, they've got a horse, but it's a father and son that don't horse ride. Well, then that's when, the walking, the cycling. But Emily, my friend, would come to the tent and she'd pick them up and take them out on North Devon exploring.
That's brilliant. That's good. That collaboration, that networking, working with other businesses. We love it. Becky, thank you so much indeed for sharing your experience of what you do there, and your website there, exmoreponyglamping.co.uk. So if there's any businesses on on the call, you want to get in touch with Becky and collaborate further, work together, then please, I'm saying it for you, Becky, but get in touch.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
Can I
Becky.
just
Thanks so much.
can I just back
Yeah.
what Becky was saying up really about the social media side of this, because I was at my hairdresser's who is also into horse riding, and I was telling her about Exmoor Pony Glamping, and it just opened, and she said that's brilliant because she is on social media on all the equestrian sort of sites, and she said many people are asking each other if they know of somewhere that they can stay and take their horses. So she was going to look you up, Becky, and hopefully tag you into some of those. So yeah, social media is definitely a big one to go with for this sort of thing.
Definitely for this sort of thing,
Yeah.
yeah. Like the lady that's booked up, she's done it all through social media this time, you know. So she's booked up till next year.
Yeah.
And so if you can get and when you post on these sites, you can get like 2,000 views,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's for me, personally, at the moment, starting up a new business, it's been great. You know,
Yeah.
it's been much more than the cider vinegar. It doesn't really
Yeah.
make a lot of difference.
No.
You know, I do it to be professional, but with, you know, targeting that market, the horsey market,
Yes.
and they're very friendly.
Yeah.
Like I said, somebody got in touch with me, and they're very helpful. You know, we want to make it very popular. So,
Yes.
you know, we're only after a few, like two, I can take maximum 4 horses. So I want to make it an amazing experience, and then people will start talking about it. And so we're all helping each other out as well.
Yeah. Like Chris said, we're all about the collaboration as well. So brilliant. I just we just had another little message from Caroline at Butterhills Escapes, who uses TouchStay. I've heard of quite a lot of the accommodation providers that I've worked with we use TouchStay to create their digital guides for accommodations. So that's brilliant, including sections for walkers and cyclists. Yeah, thanks ever so much, Caroline, for mentioning that one. Back to you, Chris. Sorry to interrupt.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. And thank you, Becky, as well. So we'll move on. So let's talk about the visitor journey then. So this is not literally the physical journey. This is actually the marketing, the customer journey to get to you. So we've highlighted some ideas on there, but it's quite good to actually get in the marketing brain. You know, you could bring on your marketing brain and actually think about that journey for your customers and what they're thinking about and what they're looking to do. So if we group all of our different segments and users together, so walkers, cyclists, dog walkers, and horse riders all together, and actually think from A to F in this instance of how they actually what you're trying to actually do with them. So this is a really good, useful slide to kind of use and come back to after today. So at A, we are trying to make them stop and tell them that you exist. So, for example, I can see people, they're thinking this, I can see people like me, I want to enjoy what I enjoy doing in your publicity. You're starting to talk to me, you care about what I'm looking for and what I need. So this is talking about on your website and your socials and your publicity. This is, you're trying to engage that visitor. So using examples like, you know, what amazing feedback we had from this lovely group of visitors, walkers or cyclists, is going to be kind of sending that message. B, the visitor's now thinking, actually, I'm quite curious about this. Like, you know, I want to make, I think I might go and book this. I might do this. So you've told me everything I need to know to visit with my dog, my bike, my horse, my walking group. So, for example, providing secure bike storage. So actually, you're making that real decision. And that decision-making process is now beginning. And C, okay, we're coming. We've decided. It looks great. You've got the secure bikes, and you know you've got the cycle routes. You've got the cycle map and information on your web page and across your socials. I'm going to book. I'm coming. And what can I do when I get there? So having that information, great. I can actually jump on a bus and then get to your hotel. Brilliant. D, you then want to kind of say, when you are there, what can you do? So actually going to share on social media and say what you're doing is just a great way for the visitor to do that. And once they've visited, obviously they've had that amazing experience and amazing time with you, they're going to want to tell everybody about it and leave you an amazing review, which kind of goes back around that cycle again, because those reviews are going to mention and say, you're so super friendly to cyclists, so friendly and super, appropriate for walkers. So those reviews are going to help you actually, and actually within the reviews, often TripAdvisor and different sites like that actually now have tick boxes and actually ask you to go in a bit more detail. What did you like about that stay? Was it, it wasn't just about the bedding and accommodation. Now it's more about, did they accommodate your needs around, did they have somewhere to store your bike and things like that? So that can really bring you up and help you rank better within those kind of platforms like TripAdvisor and Google reviews and stuff like that. So it is really important. And then, you want those loyal customers, and often, you want them to visit again. So they're going to follow you online, they're going to sign up to your newsletter. So you want to communicate to them and offer them incentives to return. So, they've been, you want them to come back. So actually, offering a special offer in the winter or autumn or early spring is a great way to doing that. So kind of come back to this slide another time and actually take that journey, think about that journey the customer's making and apply it to your own business of what you can do to really enhance that journey to make them book. And once you got them, what you do, and then obviously once they've visited, what you're asking them to do once they've been. Let's go through some of the marketing then. We've tapped in saying using strong imagery and videos of walkers and cyclists. That's going to apply across your social media. So if you haven't got that already, create your own mini library of images. Go out with friends and family and take some shots, some pictures of people walking, people cycling, going out with a horse, for example. Create. It's worth spending some time and often some money if you haven't, if photography is not so much your thing. But these days it's so much easier with smartphones and things like that. You can actually get some nice imagery. So spend some time actually in collating that imagery and put it into your own library so you can reuse it. You can use it on your website, use it again on social media, and use it again on social media. So don't just use that image once, recycle it and actually come back to it a couple of months later as well. We know the more you see something, the more likely you're going to buy as well. So that kind of continuation is often good. And then tagging organisations. North Devon's Buyers Fair, they love a bit of tagging. So if you're on social media, use the handle, tag them in. They might not always share it, but often they do, or they'll like it or do something. And do the same with, the national parks if you're near them, or your walk goes into the park, or the Southwest Coast Path, the national trails, the National Trust, the likes of Visit Devon, etc. Tag, it's good. It might annoy some of those, and you might not always get the likes and shares, but you're saying that you exist. And also it just helps with your algorithm as well. And also tag each other in. Hopefully people on the call today will you might be working with each other already, tag other accommodation, other activities and venues in. Hashtags are important. Make sure they're relevant. So don't just do hashtag walking, hashtag cycling, because that's going to do absolutely nothing. It's just a useless hashtag. Because everybody using that word cycling in the world is huge. So are they really going to find you? So what you want to do is do more targeted hashtags, hashtag Devon walking, hashtag UK walking holidays, those kind of things are going to give you, there's not so many people using those hashtags, but it's much more targeted. And you might get 2 or 3 people that are really looking for a North Devon walking holiday that are going to find you using that link. So use relevant and helpful hashtags on Instagram. I wouldn't bother on Facebook. Hashtags on Facebook don't tend to work as well. Staying with Facebook, actually, Facebook groups. Becky was saying about how she targets, using social media and that whole connectivity and talking to people. Facebook is great to use when you're actually using Facebook groups. So as a page, not as your profile, use your page that you've set up for your business and start following and liking these Facebook groups that are relevant to what you're trying to target. So if you're trying to get more cyclists, then, there might be some cycling pages that you can, so cycling groups on Facebook that you can join. If there's walking, there might be, walking in Devon Facebook page. Facebook group. So, you know, like it, and then you can share, reshare, and recycle your posts onto that Facebook group. And then really importantly, get those conversations going on the Facebook group as well, because that'll get far more interactions than your own pages do. Use location. Location is really important because it's going to help all of these different segments and different target audiences. So use the maps and explain how guests get to you and from you and all those different things. Really explain that and make that sure that's clear in your social media. And have a go at paid adverts as well, because if you are going to be thinking, okay, I'm going to go for walkers, I want more walkers, and this is my post I'm going to boost on Instagram and Facebook, you can actually drill down to the location of where the people are. So if you're thinking about more day trippers, you can actually use geography area of people who live an hour and a half away, an hour away. You could say them. Don't just leave it at that, because that's still too broad. What you want to then do is actually look into some of their interests. And you can type in there things like walking. That could be one. It could be BBC Countryfile is one. National Trust is another. So you can actually get really down into the nitty-gritty of these customers and potential customers using Facebook and Instagram, and actually really target through your paid adverts. You don't have to spend any more than 20 or 30 pounds. I'd recommend doing something longer than 5 days, or around about 5-7 days. And you know, recycle a good post that you've got some traction from already with nice imagery and links to your website, because that's really important. So they will book. But actually have a go at doing some social targeting ads. With your own website, we've talked about it. Have those, you know, special pages on your website that really talk about what you're doing as a business to engage and welcome those visitors who are walkers and cyclists, etc. And highlight all of use imagery of people with the bikes, not just the bikes. It's nice to have one little bit. We've got one. No, we haven't got one on that page. But often we just see a picture of a bike. People like people, so have people in your pictures. Again, really, just as you know, it's a simple thing, but actually just applying it to your website can really, and your socials can really enhance that. List all your facilities for both walkers and cyclists. So list through what you're going to do. Think about the search engine terms and keywords. So we're talking about meta tagging here for you techies. We're talking actually, you know, best walks in North Devon, you know, walks in Ilfracombe, those kind of things. Actually use them, deliberately use those phrases in your website, because Google will like them and your visitors will like them if they're looking for those things. So actually deliberately use phrases on those pages and think about just getting the head of that potential walker or cyclist and the terms that they might be Googling to find the type of things that you do. Reference named walking paths and trails, again, because people are going to be searching for those things if they know of them. You know, Southwest Coast Path, what can I do in North Devon when I'm doing this section, those kind of things. And also, you know, other public rights of way, talk about them on your website as well, and how close they are, or the distance they are as well. What 3-word actually gives you a pinpoint of your location in 3 words. If you're not using this already, it's free to use. You just Google what 3 words, and then it will give you actually a pinpoint location. And this is great for cyclists and walkers to not remember your postcode and details and stuff like that. And they can actually use that within the website and app and really locate you. So again, it's tapping into things that those groups use already. Create your own downloadable walks and cycle routes as well. This might be that people might even use them and not visit and spend money. There is the downside of that. But again, it's just a nice, simple thing to do. Have a PDF on your website of your favorite walk, where to stop, you know, put in those promotional things as well, you know, make sure your venue's included. So just in case somebody does use it and print it off, they are aware of who's actually put this walk together or this cycling route, and actually it tells them about when you're open, etc., and what you do. And then provide information to public transport and link off to those different websites as well. You're not expected to keep timetables up to date or things like that. It's better to link directly off to those providers of public transport. So a few things there for social media and your website. And then some connections for you to think about around marketing, but also making those important connections. So Cycling UK is a cycling body for the UK, involved in many projects across the country around tourism. They have a directory, Cyclist Welcome Directory, and you can add your venue, your business, your tour, what have you, to that website if you want to. So that's a great way to say, hello, we exist. And then you can also research other kind of national, local, and international websites around being dog friendly, bike friendly. There's walkers are welcome. So there's walkers are welcome towns across the country. I don't think there's any actually within the North Devon biosphere. But again, if you're thinking about creating a walkers are welcome town or village, head to that website because you can find out more information about that and how to get that going and start up your town or village becoming a walkers are welcome destination. We talked about the Horse Riders B&B website and the websites, the All Trails website that Becky mentioned as well. So to spend time on doing that research, local, national, also think international as well, because visitors are going to be coming all from around the world. So if there are websites, target audience, if you're seeing more and more Dutch come, then spend some time actually thinking about actually what are those sites. You can use Google Translate and actually see if you can get onto some of those sites and then enhance your marketing internationally as well. Subscribe to those walking and cycling magazines if you're really wanting to keep up to date and really focus on that. Some of those websites will be free. Obviously the magazines won't be. Look for collaborations. We've been talking about networking and collaborating, also with other walkers and cyclists and horse riders as well. So actually link up with others. We often find this stronger together doing something and rather doing it all on your own. And also obviously make sure Sarah at North Devon's Biosphere knows all about it as well, so they can promote it through their various routes, which we'll hear about in just a moment. And attend local and national cycling events as well. So the YHA have a really popular festival of walking. They're planning the next one. So have a look what's going on in your part of the world. Just type in YHA Festival of Walking. There's the National Cycling Show at the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham. They also have an outdoor show as well, quite targeted. It is expensive to go and have a stand at those things, but if you're a business that really wanting to do this, then doing something like that, meeting tour operators and travel guides and consumers can be really useful, as well as your county shows and those kind of things as well, because again you're tapping into those audiences where you'll find those groups of people often. And why not start your own themed event and collaborate with others? Start your own walking festival, start your own cycling festival, come up with only, try it small, start small, do half a day or something. Even if it's the campsite, it's the pub and it's the corner shop, and you're just going to do something for cyclists or walkers or something, then try it, have a go, theme it, make it something, make your destination extra special to these groups of people looking to book and visit. Just going to bring Sarah in here now because she's going to tell us about a little bit more about what's going on locally with the North Devon's Biosphere and the app.
Thanks, Chris. So we, a couple of years ago, North Devon Biosphere launched a web app called North Devon Explorer. It's different to the company that Becky was talking about earlier, which has got an S on the end. That's North Devon Explorers. Ours is just North Devon Explorer. And on that web app, it highlights the cycle routes, walking trails, natural highlights. It's really an app to try and encourage visitors to be more sustainable when they're visiting our wonderful biosphere. So to try and protect the very assets that visitors come here to see. So on that app are various businesses as well, and you can be added to our app. To do that, you need to sign up to our business partner scheme, which is an eco accreditation scheme, which is currently free. I'm not going to talk too much about it at the moment. I will send some information around on the post event email that I will send to you. but the app is a really good way of getting your visitors to see just how the extent of the North Devon biosphere, and the different things that they can do here, rather than we don't want to draw people away from those hotspots. We still want them to go, but even if we can bring them more inland, even if it's just for a day, like I said earlier, just to spread the love, spread the economy a bit more, and have less of an impact on those hotspot areas, it would be great. So I will send some information around. I will put a link into North Devon Explorer into the chat now, so you can have a look at it straight away. Well, after this event, obviously, we don't want you going off to look at that now. But I will send some more information in my email that I send around after the event. Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. So lots going on. And just really, as we started to come to the end, we'll have Q&A in a moment. So if there's a question you would like to ask about anything you've seen today, or something you feel that's not been covered, then please pop that into the chat, and Sarah's going to monitor that, and I can answer those questions in just a moment. But the one thing I wanted to end with today is really thinking about, what we've tried to explain today, and I'm sure you've already thought about this already, but now you've got a bit more context around it, is that, not every walker, not every cyclist are going to be the same. And you'll know that already if you're doing some of this already and you're just running a business. So actually using those slides to actually go down and actually think about the different audiences within the different segments is an important task. And, it will help you really filter down and actually say, this is the type of cyclist, this is the type of walking group, or this is the type of walkers that we're looking for, and actually think about what you can do and what you can offer, and to enhance that offer, and welcome those visitors to your business, and keep listening, really importantly as well. So keep listening to feedback. That will help you enhance your offer. Okay, that's I think we're going to move on to Q&A. No, coming on to the checklist, just before we go on to questions. So as I said, put your questions into the Q&A chat, sorry, not the Q&A, the chat window, and we'll answer them shortly. A few checklist options for you to go away and do. I've just summarized some of the main things we've seen today. And make sure you are given a warm welcome, but really importantly, that's passed on through your team, your staff as well. And so when visitors come to your establishment, your business, they're getting all that local knowledge and expertise, and have that designated area for walkers, cyclists, dogs, horses, have that. And actually, I think that's a nice thing, a practical thing you can do actually to welcome everyone. If you're happy to accommodate walkers and cyclists, and you wanting to think about their clothing, their boots, their rucksacks, their helmets, again, think about where you can accommodate that and tell people that you're doing that. Provide first aid essentials like plasters and blister stuff, and puncture repair kits as well. Happy to, refill water bottles and flasks without charge, and outside tap as well for washing bikes, dogs and boots. Provide secured bike stands and storage to allow your visitors to bring their own bikes inside if you can't actually have the storage externally or somewhere else. Provide helpful information, routes, maps, public transport, weather information, and other friendly businesses nearby. Have dog bowls and dog treats, and provide enclosed areas for dogs. Be flexible with serving food and offer those takeaway options for breakfast and lunch, so you can be offering something for those guests that's more convenient for them. And ensure all your publicity is up to date, and you really are reaching out to those different audiences and telling them about how amazing it is to come and visit you, but all those special things that you're doing to meet their needs. So again, these slides will be available. Sarah will be sharing them out later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. You'll have them so you can go through that checklist and tick it off as well. Here's a list of some of the resources that we've mentioned today. So again, you can click through these. These are some of the businesses you can tag into on socials and things like that and get more information. Dogfriendly.co.uk. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier on. Again, it's great to list your business on that one if you are doing all those things to be dog friendly.